Water slammed over Zara's face as she fought inside the bathtub, not to live, but to disappear. Her lungs burned, her limbs trembled, her mind finally quieted. The ache of betrayal, the humiliation, the years of stolen labor, everything dissolved beneath the water's surface. She let go. Then the glass shower door exploded inward. A hand shot into the tub and fisted her wrist with brutal force. Zara's eyes flew open just as she was yanked upward, coughing, choking, gasping for air she didn't want. Her body hit the cold bathroom tiles, slipping as she tried to crawl back to the water. "No," she rasped. "Leave me. Just leave me." A tall figure dropped to one knee beside her, gripping her jaw and forcing her eyes up to his. Kang Dae-hyun. Zara recognized him instantly. The man whose name whispered through Busan's underworld like a knife in the dark. Sharp eyes, black hair slicked back, a suit too expensive for a man who broke bones for a living, the kind of man no one wanted attention from. "Why," she choked, trembling violently. "Why are you here?" His voice was low, controlled, terrifying in its calm. "You were seconds from dying. That is unacceptable." "I wanted to die," she whispered. "You don't get to want that." His thumb wiped blood from her lip. "Not anymore." Zara shoved weakly at him, but he caught her wrists, pinning them to the wet tiles with effortless strength. She was shaking too hard to fight. "Let me go," she begged. "Please, I have nothing left." "You belong to me now," he said softly, almost intimately. "And I don't abandon what's mine." Terror sliced through her chest. He lifted her, literally lifted her, into his arms, ignoring her sobs as her wet hair dripped down his suit. His men poured into the bathroom, guns drawn, eyes scanning. "She's alive," he ordered. "Take us out." Zara shook her head faintly. Why would you save me?" Dae-hyun didn't look at her as he carried her through the hotel suite. His steps were sure, determined. "Because your life is not yours to throw away." That was the last thing she heard before darkness swallowed her. When she woke again, she wasn't dead. She wasn't free either. The ceiling wasn't the hotel. The sheets weren't the cheap white cotton she remembered. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and jasmine. She sat up slowly, groaning. A glass wall separated the bed from the rest of the room. Beyond it were medical monitors, softly glowing lights, and a locked door with a biometric scanner. The luxury was unmistakable, polished floors, warm lighting, but so was the captivity. Zara's heart pounded. Footsteps approached. Dae-hyun stepped inside, hands in his pockets, watching her with unsettling intensity. "You're awake." "Where am I?" Zara demanded. "Why am I here?" "You tried to drown yourself," he replied simply. "I prevented it. Now I'm making sure you don't try again." "You kidnapped me." He didn't deny it. "Better kidnapped than dead." "You don't even know me." "Oh, I know far more than you think." He moved closer, eyes locked on hers. "Zara Nwosu, Nigerian-born, microbiologist, 7 years of antiviral research stolen by Dr. Sunho and published under his name. Appeal denied. Funding revoked. Bank account drained. Visa expiring in 12 days. Deportation notice already issued. No family nearby except one older brother living 3 cities away. Emotionally isolated. Highly depressed. "Stop," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. He didn't. "You walked to that hotel because you believed death was easier than fighting back." Her breath hitched. "How do you know all that?" He tapped his temple. "Because I make it my business to know everything about the people who matter to me." "I don't matter to you." "Yes," he said, stepping close enough for her to feel his warmth. You do. Her pulse skittered violently. I should scream, she whispered. You can, he said softly, but no one will hear you. Not in this compound. Zara's breath caught. What do you want from me? Dae-hyun studied her for a long moment. His voice, when it came, was cold and truthfully terrifying. Your brilliance. She froze. My what? You developed something extraordinary. His gaze softened, just barely. Something worth killing for. Something worth saving you for. Zara's throat tightened. My research is gone. It isn't. He lifted a slim tablet and placed it on the bed beside her. I recovered the files before your mentor could destroy the original sequences. Her vision blurred. Hey, why would you do that? Because Mira Seo knows what your work can do, he said, and she will hunt you until you're dead. I will not allow that. Zara swallowed hard. Mira, the CEO? She destroyed my family, Dae-hyun answered, voice suddenly hollow, and your research is the key to ruining hers. Everything inside Zara went still. You saved me, she whispered. To use me? To protect you, he corrected gently. To protect the work that was stolen from you. To give you the chance to finish what they tried to bury. I don't trust you. I don't require your trust, he said quietly. Only your survival. Zara turned her face away, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. She didn't want to survive. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want to breathe. But Dae-hyun wasn't giving her a choice. Get some rest, he murmured. I'll be watching. Her eyes widened. Watching? He glanced at the ceiling camera. Always? Zara's pulse hammered. She grabbed the blanket around her trembling body, both furious and afraid. Why me? She asked brokenly. Dae-hyun paused at, the door. Because you're too valuable to lose, he said, and because someone has to keep you alive, even if you hate it. The door locked behind him. Zara pressed her hand to her mouth to stop the sob that tore through her. She had escaped death, only to fall into the arms of a man more dangerous than death itself. Zara didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the water closing over her again, felt his hands dragging her back. By morning, the edges of her panic had dulled into something colder. Numbness, resentment, a quiet, stubborn refusal to speak. The door hissed open. An older Korean man in a white coat walked in with a nurse. He smiled kindly. Good morning, Miss Nwosu. I'm Dr. Hwan. How are you feeling? Kidnapped, Zara said flatly. His smile dimmed a little but didn't vanish. Physically, then? Still kidnapped. He nodded slowly, as if that was an acceptable medical answer. No head trauma. Lungs clear. Mild dehydration. Your body went through stress, but you'll recover well. I didn't ask to recover. He glanced once towards the ceiling camera. Be that as it may, you are still my patient, and I do what I can for my patients. The nurse checked her pulse, her blood pressure, her pupils. Zara sat still, staring past them. This place, she muttered. Where is it? A safe location, Dr. Hwan said. That's all I can tell you. Who are you people? A hospital? A gang? A cult? I am a doctor, he answered simply. The rest belongs to him. Zara didn't ask who him was. The walls answered that for her. When they left, the food tray arrived, jollof rice and grilled chicken, the smell hitting her chest like a memory. She stared at it suspiciously. The intercom crackled. You should eat, Dae-hyun's voice said. Her stomach clenched. Watching me eat now? Watching you stay alive, he replied. It's a full-time job. Stop pretending you care, she snapped. You need my brain, not my soul." There was a pause. Both are inconveniently connected. She clamped her jaw shut. "You haven't asked how I found you," he said quietly. "I don't care." "You care," he countered. "You're just afraid of the answer." She grabbed the food tray and shoved it aside, the metal clattering. "I don't owe you conversation." "No," he agreed. "You owe me nothing. But I've already paid for your life, Zara. The least you can do is not throw it away again." Her eyes burned. "You had no right to take that choice from me." "I took what the world took from you," he said. "Control." She laughed bitterly. "You call this control?" Compared to being erased? His tone hardened. "Yes." The intercom clicked off. Zara stared at the ceiling for a long time. Then, because her hands were shaking too much not to, she dragged the tray back and began to eat. Not because he told her to, because dying had failed. For now. 3 days passed. Zara learned the rhythms of the compound by sound, the distant echo of footsteps in the corridor, the change in hum when the generators kicked, the faint voices from somewhere beyond the glass when guards swapped shifts, and always, always, the silent presence of the cameras. She tested the boundaries. She tried ripping out her IV once. The door opened in seconds. 2 guards rushed in. Dae-hyun followed, eyes sharp, jaw tight. "What did you do?" he demanded. "Relax," Zara said, blood dripping down her wrist. "Just a scratch. I was bored." He reached her in 2 strides, grabbing her wrist and pressing gauze to the wound. His touch was quick, practiced, controlled. "This is not a game," he hissed. "Don't hurt yourself to prove a point." "Isn't that why you dragged me here?" she shot back. "To make sure I'm your perfectly functioning lab rat?" His eyes flashed. "You think that little of yourself?" She yanked her hand away. "I think that little of you." The room went very quiet. The guards shifted uneasily. Instead of exploding, Dae-hyun exhaled slowly. "Everyone out," he said. The guards hesitated. "Now." The door shut behind them. Zara swallowed. Silence pressed in. He sat on the edge of the bed, not touching her this time, his gaze searching her face in a way that felt far too intimate. "You want me to be the villain," he said evenly. "It's easier that way." "You kidnapped me," she replied. "You don't need any help being the villain." "Your mentor stole your life's work, erased you from the credits, and arranged your deportation so you couldn't contest it." His voice turned soft and lethal. He poured the gasoline. "I'm just stopping you from striking the match on yourself." "You don't know what it feels like," she said hoarsely. 7 years, night shifts, lab accidents, holidays alone, watching everyone else progress while you stay in the basement with cultures and trial after trial. I gave everything to that research, everything, and it was all taken. Her voice broke on the last word. Something flickered in his eyes. Not sympathy. Something older, familiar. "Yes," he said quietly. "I know exactly what that feels like." She laughed without humor. "A crime boss, betrayed by the world?" "A husband," he corrected, "who watched his wife die while her work burned." The words hung between them. Zara blinked. "What?" He paused, then stood abruptly, as if he'd given away too much. "You'll start working again soon," he said. "You need focus, not despair." "I'm not ready," she snapped. "You don't have the luxury of time." "Then kill me and find another scientist," she threw back bitterly. "I'm sure the world is full of desperate immigrants with stolen research." His jaw clenched. For a second, she thought she had finally pushed him too far. Instead, he smiled faintly. It was not a kind smile. It was a tired one. "You think you're replaceable?" he murmured. "You really don't understand your own value." He walked to the door. "You'll have access to your files tomorrow," he said, "and whatever equipment you ask for. You are not a prisoner, Zara. You're under protection." She looked pointedly at the locked door. "Protection with a passcode." "You're alive," he said, and left. The lock hissed shut behind him. She stared at the door, anger and something like guilt twisting inside her. She hated that part of her believed him. The next day, what he promised appeared. Her laptop, external drives, printed copies of her notes, a tablet with secure access to her data sets, a portable sequencer. Everything she'd lost when they locked her out of the lab. Zara touched the worn leather of her old notebook with trembling fingers. "How did you get this?" she whispered. The intercom answered. "I have my ways." "You stole it from them." "They stole it from you first." She sat, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The familiar interface blinked awake. Lines of code, samples, raw data. Her heart squeezed. "You expect me to just continue?" she said. "I expect you to decide," Dae-hyun replied. "Do you let them win, or do you finish what they tried to kill?" She stared at the screen. The answer should have been easy. She should refuse. She should let it all rot. But as her eyes moved over the sequences, instinct took over. The scientist in her woke up, angry and wounded and stubborn. "This model is wrong," she muttered, almost to herself. "They misinterpreted the third trial." "Then fix it," he said. She hesitated. "If I do this, what happens to it?" "It destroys Mirasio's empire," he said calmly, "and the people she bought. That's revenge, not justice. Sometimes they are the same thing." Zara let out a shaky breath. "I don't trust you," she repeated. "Good," he said. "Trust the data. Let that be enough for now." Hours later, she was still working. The world shrank to numbers, patterns, possibilities. She forgot to eat until a knock sounded and a tray slid through the slot. "You've been working 10 hours, his voice observed through the intercom. "Impressive." She startled. "You're still watching?" "Always." She rolled her eyes, but there was no heat behind it. "You don't sleep?" "Not when what I want most in the world is sitting in a glass room and keeps trying to die." Her chest tightened at the quiet frustration in his tone. "I'm not going to try again," she muttered. "Say it like you mean it," he said. She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. "Fine," she whispered. "I won't try again." "For today?" he added. "For today," she agreed. It wasn't a promise, but it was more than she'd given herself in a long time. Zara didn't realize she had fallen asleep until she woke with her cheek pressed to the desk and a blanket draped over her shoulders. She blinked groggily, pulling the blanket up. It smelled faintly of sandalwood. His scent. Her heart stuttered. She hadn't heard him come in, hadn't felt him near. But the blanket was warm, freshly placed. Dae-hyun had been inside her room while she slept, quiet as breath, gentle as a ghost. She pushed the blanket away instantly. No. She refused to feel anything about that. When she sat up, she noticed something on the desk. Next to her notes, just where her hand would fall when she reached, a steaming cup of ginger tea. She froze. He was caring for her, subtly, steadily, in ways that felt too deliberate to be accidental. She snatched the cup and carried it to the door. "Stop doing things like this!" The intercom crackled. "You're welcome." This isn't gratitude, she snapped. You're manipulating me. If I wanted to manipulate you, he replied, you wouldn't notice. She nearly hurled the tea at the wall. The door clicked open before she could form another insult. Dae-hyun stepped inside, no warning, no hesitation. He wore black slacks, a dark sweater, sleeves pushed up, revealing thin scars along his forearms. His hair wasn't perfectly styled today. A strand fell across his face. The absence of perfection made him look younger. Human. She hated that it affected her. He studied her carefully. You worked all night. You don't get credit for watching me, she muttered. I wasn't looking for credit. Then why are you here? To check if you're still breathing. I am. You can go now. He didn't move. The silence stretched, the kind that crawled under her skin. You're avoiding looking at me, he said. She stiffened. I'm not. You are. He stepped forward. Just one step, but too close. Why? She looked at the floor. Because I don't like how you look at me. How do I look at you? Like you own me. His jaw tightened at that. Not in anger, in restraint. And that bothers you? He asked quietly. Yes, she said. I'm not a possession. You're not, he said, but He stopped, eyes shifting away. I've lost too much to lose you, too. The softness in his voice hit her like a blow. Too intimate, too vulnerable. It didn't match the ruthless man who kidnapped her. What have you lost? She asked before she could stop herself. He inhaled slowly, then walked past her toward the glass wall, as if he needed distance to speak. My wife, he said. A chill swept down her spine. She died, he continued, fingers brushing one of the scars on his arm. Not from violence, from illness, a trial. Treatment could have saved her, but that treatment was burned, erased, and the woman who destroyed it became powerful while my wife died in my arms. Zara stared at him. Mira Seo, she whispered. His eyes lifted to hers, dark, haunted. She stole more than research. She stole years, trust, family, everything. Zara's breath trembled. I'm sorry. I don't need your apology, he said softly. I need your work. And that's why you saved me? That's why I need you alive. He turned fully toward her, expression unreadable. I saved you for a different reason. She swallowed hard. Why? His eyes held hers in a way that made her chest tighten painfully. Because you didn't deserve to die abandoned. The words cracked something open inside her, sharp and dangerous. Before she could respond, an alarm blared. Red lights flashed along the ceiling. The door slammed shut with a mechanical thud. Somewhere in the distance, shouted orders echoed. Zara jerked toward the sound. What's happening? Dae-hyun was already moving. He pressed 2 fingers to the comm in his ear. Report. Gunfire cracked through the compound. Zara's heart stopped. Unauthorized breach on the east wing, a voice responded. Multiple hostiles. They're heading toward the medical level. The transmission was drowned out by another explosion. Dust tremored loose from the ceiling. Zara froze. They're coming here? Stay behind the glass, Dae-hyun ordered. He scanned the room, checking vantage points, calculating threats in seconds. Zara stepped toward him. You can't fight them alone. I can, he cut sharply. And I will. She flinched. The lights flickered. Another blast rattled the floor. Zara grabbed his sleeve without thinking. Dae-hyun. He looked at her hand first, then her eyes. His voice dropped lower. I told you I would protect you. You'll get killed, she whispered. Then I'll die doing the one thing that makes sense anymore. Her throat tightened painfully. Don't say that. Why? He asked. You wanted to die days ago. That was different. How? Because... Her breath caught. Because no one wanted me alive. He stared at her for a long, burning second. I do, he said. And he meant it. She saw that, felt it. Something in her cracked open, raw and terrified. I don't want you to die, she whispered. He touched her face. Brief, gentle, devastating. You won't lose me, he said. Not today. He turned to leave. The door exploded inward. A masked intruder charged inside, rifle raised. Zara screamed. Dae-hyun reacted instantly, shoving her behind him as bullets tore through the air. Glass shattered. Metal twisted. Zara dropped to the floor, hands over her head. Dae-hyun fired back with deadly precision, every shot controlled, every movement sharp as lightning. 2 men fell. A third lunged at him, and they crashed against the wall. Zara's vision blurred with tears. Blood. Shouting. Gunfire. Another intruder slipped past them toward her. No, she gasped, scrambling backward. The man raised his weapon. Dae-hyun's blade flashed. The attacker collapsed at Zara's feet, dead. Her breath shattered. Her hands shook uncontrollably. She had never been this close to a violent death. Never smelled the metallic sting of fresh blood. Never watched someone fight with such terrifying intensity. The room went still. Dae-hyun turned toward her, chest rising and falling fast. Are you hurt? She shook her head shakily. He crossed the room, grabbed her face with both hands, and searched her for injuries. Tell me. I'm okay, she whispered. He exhaled slowly and pulled her into him. Not roughly. Not possessively. He held her like a man who had almost lost something he could not bear to lose. She clung to him without meaning to, trembling so hard she could barely breathe. It's not safe here anymore, he said against her hair. They knew exactly where to find you. That means someone betrayed you, she whispered. Yes, he murmured, and I'll find out who. She felt the promise in his voice. Cold, deadly, inevitable, the kind of promise men like him never broke. He released her just enough to look into her eyes. You stay alive, he said. Do you hear me? Stay alive, Zara. Her heart hammered painfully. I'll try, she whispered. Not enough. His thumb brushed her cheek. You will. Another explosion echoed somewhere above them. He stood, pulling her to her feet. Stay behind me. She obeyed. Not because she was a prisoner, because she trusted him in that moment more than she trusted the world. The gunfire finally died down, replaced by frantic radio chatter and the distant thud of running boots. The alarms cut out, leaving a ringing silence that felt almost heavier than the noise. Zara's legs gave out. Dae-hyun caught her before she hit the floor. Easy. Breathe. She didn't realize she was hyperventilating until he said it. Her chest heaved, her vision tunneling. He almost... She stared at the body near her feet. He tried to shoot me. I know. His grip tightened. But he didn't. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. You killed them. I protected you, he said calmly. Look at me. She forced her eyes up to his. Dark. Steady. Present. In, he ordered softly. Slow breath now, out. She followed him without thinking. In. Out. Her pulse started to steady. The door opened behind them. 2 of his men stood there, weapons ready, clothes dusted with debris. Boss, one of them panted. Perimeter secured. 12 intruders dead. 2 escaped. We lost 3 of ours. Dae-hyun's jaw went hard. Any sign of who sent them? They went straight for the medical level. They weren't shooting to kill her. They were trying to drag her out. Zara swallowed. To who? The guard hesitated, glancing at her. Say it, Dae-hyun snapped. Miraseo, he said quietly. We intercepted a call. They were supposed to bring the Nigerian scientist alive. Zara's skin crawled. Dae-hyun exhaled slowly through his nose. Of course. He turned back to Zara. Dr. Hwan needs to check you for shock. I'm fine, she insisted weakly. You're not, he said, and we're not arguing. He scooped her up before she could protest. She clutched the front of his sweater, feeling the rapid beat of his heart against her fingers. You're shaking too, she whispered. His lips curved faintly. I just killed 4 people in front of the woman I'm trying not to terrify. I'm allowed to shake. Despite everything, a strangled laugh slipped out of her. He carried her back into the room and laid her gently on the bed. Dr. Hwan rushed in moments later, checking her vitals, shining a light in her eyes, listening to her heart. She's stable, the doctor said. Minor superficial cuts, elevated adrenaline, no major injury. Zara watched Dae-hyun from the corner of her eye while the doctor fussed. He stood by the broken glass, talking quietly into his comm, voice low and deadly. His expression was calm, but his body was coiled, like a man holding back a storm. Who knew her exact location? He asked. Inner circle only, came the reply. Medical staff, security chief, a few guards on rotation. Find the leak, he said. We don't sleep until we do. Boss, and when you find them, he added, bring them to me. Breathing. Zara shivered. Hours later, the compound settled into a tense, uneasy quiet. The glass was replaced. Extra guards were stationed outside her door. New cameras went up. Every step sounded heavier, every voice sharper. Zara sat at her desk again, but the lines of code wouldn't stay still. Every time she blinked, she saw the masked man raising his gun. She flinched at the slightest sound. The intercom clicked on. Talk to me, Dae-hyun said. She swallowed. About what? About what you're thinking. I'm thinking you've ruined bathtubs for me forever, she muttered. A soft huff of a laugh came through the speaker. I'll take that as progress. Her hands tightened around her pen. They came for me. Yes. They would have taken me whether I wanted to go or not. Yes. So I'm not safe anywhere. Silence, then quietly. You're safest with me. You say that like it's a comfort. It isn't meant to be comforting, he replied. It's meant to be true. He didn't sound proud of it, just resigned. Later that night, one of his men was dragged past her glass wall. Zara heard the shouting, the pleading, the crack of a fist against bone. She shouldn't have looked, but she did. A man in a black security uniform knelt on the floor, hands tied behind his back, blood trickling from his nose. He was shaking, eyes wide with terror. Please, boss, he stammered in Korean. Zara only caught fragments, but the fear in his voice didn't need translation. I had no choice. You sold her location, Dae-hyun said coldly. How much did Mira pay you to sentence her to death? It wasn't like that, I swear. They threatened my... A gunshot cut him off. Zara flinched violently. The man collapsed. Silence followed. Dae-hyun stood over the body for a long second, his face unreadable. Then he turned his head just slightly, eyes shifting towards the glass wall, toward her. She backed away from the window, heart pounding. He executed traitors just like that. Monster, she thought. But he killed the man for trying to hurt you, another part of her argued. She crawled into bed and curled into herself. The compound felt like a gilded cage surrounded by wolves. She was trapped between them, and the wolf who promised he would never let them touch her. Days blurred. Zara buried herself in work because the alternative was replaying the attack on a loop. She analyzed, reconstructed, corrected. She rebuilt the model the way it was meant to be built, without shortcuts, without greed. Every time she hit a wall, she expected frustration. Instead, his voice came through the intercom. "What are you stuck on?" "Trial 9, she muttered. "The viral load behaves differently than the model predicts." "Show me." She forgot sometimes that he wasn't a scientist. She talked to him like he understood every term. To her surprise, he followed. "So this spike," she pointed at the screen, "means the compound triggers a secondary reaction in high-risk patients. The published paper ignored that." "And if you can predict who's high risk?" he asked. "We prevent fatal complications," she said, "and we prove they lied in their trials." He was quiet for a moment. "How long until you can know for sure?" he asked. She hesitated. "With more data, weeks, maybe months." "We don't have months," he said. "Work with what you have." She frowned. "Science doesn't care about your deadlines." "I do," he said. "But," his voice softened, "don't rush at the cost of safety. That's how Mira got here." She leaned back. "I thought you didn't care about the world," she said. "Only revenge." "I care about her not hurting anyone else like she hurt Rena," he answered. "If you can stop that, my revenge is a bonus." "Rena was your wife," Zara said quietly. "Yes." "Tell me about her." There was a pause. "I don't talk about her," he said. "Then why tell me she existed?" She pressed. He didn't answer right away. "Because you deserve to know why you're here," he said finally. "She was kind, smarter than me, braver than me. She believed her research would save lives. She trusted the wrong person." "Mira," Zara said. "Yes. My cousin turned my wife's cure into a weapon, shut the trial down, burned the lab, branded Rena's work as dangerous, then used parts of it to build her empire while Rena died anyway." Zara's throat closed up. "I'm sorry," she whispered again, and this time she meant it with her whole chest. "I don't need your pity," he said softly. "Just your success." She stared at the screen. "I'm not Rena," she said. "I don't know if I can do what you want." "No," he agreed. "You're not her." Those words should have hurt, but he went on. "She didn't have your perspective, your anger, your stubbornness. You see what she couldn't." Zara blinked. "Is that a compliment?" she asked. "It's a fact," he replied. She smiled despite herself. "You're bad at compliments." "I'm bad at most things that aren't violence," he said dryly. "You'll have to forgive me." She shouldn't have laughed, but she did. Their conversations shifted after that. Less hostage and captor. More something else. "How old were you when you left Nigeria?" he asked one night, long after midnight. 17, she said. "Scholarship. I thought it was my golden ticket." "And?" "It was," she said softly. "Until it wasn't. Until I realized some people see your hard work as free labor, your dreams as disposable." "And yet," he said, "you stayed. You endured." "Because quitting would prove them right," she muttered. "Exactly," he said. "That's why you're still here." She hesitated. "Are you talking about me being alive, or about your compound?" "Both," he said. Something in her shifted. She didn't forgive him for kidnapping her. She didn't excuse what he did. But she could no longer pretend he was just a monster. He was a grieving man, standing in the ruins of his past, clinging to her research like a lifeline. And somewhere in the middle of blood and betrayal and glass walls, She started to care whether he slept, whether he ate, whether he walked past her door. Her heart betrayed her before her mind caught up. It skipped when his shadow passed. It warmed when his voice softened. It broke a little more every time she saw how tired he looked when he thought she wasn't paying attention. She hated it. She needed it. She kept working. Zara didn't realize how much the compound had changed until she stepped into the hallway for the first time since the attack. Dae-hyun hadn't wanted her to leave the glass suite, but she insisted on getting fresh air, or at least whatever passed for it, inside a fortress. 2 guards flanked her immediately. She stiffened. "I don't need a parade," she muttered. One guard answered. "Orders." Of course they were. They led her to a private courtyard, enclosed by tall walls and steel shutters. The sky peeked through a narrow gap above, a slice of blue barely wide enough to feel real. But there were plants. Actual greenery, maintained despite the danger. It was quiet. Peaceful. Zara sat on a stone bench, closing her eyes. For the first time in days, she inhaled air that didn't smell like antiseptic. Then she heard footsteps she could now recognize instantly. Measured, quiet, commanding. "You're outside," Dae-hyun said. "You noticed?" she replied without opening her eyes. "I notice everything you do." She ignored the way her stomach flipped. "I needed a break from screens and walls." He came closer. "You're safe here." "For now," she said, "until someone else sells me out." "They won't," he said. "Not anymore." She opened her eyes. "You can't promise that." "I can," he replied, "because I made an example of the last one." She flinched. He saw. "I don't take pleasure in violence," he said softly. "You executed a man," she whispered. "And he would have delivered you to Mira," he countered. "Alive, but not intact." Her heart sank. "What does she want with me?" "Your mind," he said. "Your research, your potential, and your silence." Zara stared at him, the courtyard suddenly feeling smaller. "I didn't choose this," she said quietly. "I didn't ask to be part of any war." "I know." His voice warmed slightly. "But you're in it regardless." She rubbed her hands together. "I can't live like this forever. Behind walls, under guards, with cameras watching me breathe." He crouched in front of her. A position of vulnerability. A position she never imagined a man like him taking. "You won't live like this forever," he said. "But right now you're a target, and I protect what's mine. I'm not yours." He didn't argue. He didn't even smirk. He simply studied her face, eyes softer than she'd ever seen. "No," he murmured, "but I want you to live long enough to decide who you want to be." Her heartbeat stumbled. She stood abruptly, breaking the moment. "I need to get back to work. The model isn't stabilizing." He rose as well. "I'll walk you." "You don't have to. I want to." She didn't stop him. That night she hit a breakthrough. She stared at the screen, awe rising in her chest. "It works," she breathed. "The sequence finally matches the predicted viral behavior." Dae-hyun was there instantly. "Show me." She pointed. "This correction changes everything. The mortality risk drops by 40% if we adjust for genetic variants. We can identify high-risk groups before treatment." His eyes lit with something fierce. Not vengeance. Hope. "Zara," he said softly, "do you understand what you just rebuilt?" She swallowed hard. "A cure, or the closest thing to one." For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he reached out and took her hand. Not forcefully, not claiming. Gently. She froze, breath catching. You brought her work back from the dead, he whispered. You gave Rena a second chance to matter. You gave me a reason to believe again. Her chest ached painfully. Dae-hyun, he stepped closer. You did what the entire medical board refused to do, what Mira tried to erase. You reclaimed something sacred. She blinked rapidly, emotion tightening her throat. I didn't do it for her. I know, he said. You did it for yourself, and that makes it even more powerful. Their faces were inches apart. Her breath trembled. He slowly lifted his hand and brushed her cheek with his thumb. You're shaking, he murmured. So are you, she whispered. His eyes darkened. Because I'm trying not to cross a line I can't uncross. She swallowed. What line? The one where I stop pretending I don't feel anything for you. The air between them pulsed. Zara felt herself leaning in, just a fraction, just enough. A shout burst through the intercom. Boss, urgent! It's about the safe house. Zara jerked back. Safe house? You mean your brother, he said, already turning towards the door. Come with me. Fear iced her veins. They reached the control room within seconds. Screens showed live footage of a burning building, engulfed in flames so bright the cameras struggled to process the heat. No, Zara whispered. No. Please tell me he wasn't inside. He wasn't, the lieutenant cut in. Our men pulled him out before the building was torched. Zara collapsed into a chair, shaking. Why burn it? Dae-hyun's voice was grim. A message. Another guard handed him a tablet. Dae-hyun's jaw clenched as he read it, then silently handed the tablet to her. Spray-painted across the ruins in bright red paint. Bring the formula or he's next. Zara's vision swam. She wants me. She wants your brilliance, Dae-hyun said. She wants control, and she wants to finish what she started. Zara buried her face in her hands. This is all my fault. If I hadn't come here, if you hadn't come here, you'd be dead already, he cut in. Your brother too. Her shoulders shook with a silent sob. Dae-hyun went still for a moment. Then he knelt beside her again, voice barely above a whisper. You will not carry this alone. She lifted her head. How can I not? My family is paying for something I didn't even ask to be part of. He placed a hand over hers. I will protect them. I swear it. You can't promise that, she cried. I just did. Their eyes locked. Hers full of fear, his full of ruthless certainty. For once, she didn't pull away. She needed someone to hold the weight she couldn't. He rose and gave orders with lethal calm. Double security on her brother. Move him to the inner compound. Anyone who fails dies. Then he turned back to her. This is war now, he said, and war takes everything unless you choose who you're fighting for. She wiped her eyes. And who are you fighting for? His answer was immediate. You. Her breath caught. He stepped closer, voice dropping to a confession ripped from someplace raw. Zara, I can't lose you. Not after everything. Not after you brought hope back into a world I thought was dead. Her lips parted, a trembling inhale escaping. Dae-hyun. He reached for her, but stopped just short of touching her. Tell me to walk away, he whispered. Tell me you feel nothing and I will. She stared at him, heart pounding so violently it hurt. I can't, she whispered. His eyes shut briefly, pained with relief. Then I'm yours, he murmured. She didn't know who leaned in first, but the moment his lips touched hers, the world fell away. The fire, the danger, the betrayal, leaving only heat, need, and the terrifying truth rising between them. The kiss didn't start soft. It crashed into them, urgent, desperate, like two people drowning and clawing for air in each other's mouths. Zara's fingers curled into his sweater. Daehyun's hands cupped her face as though she might vanish if he didn't hold her steady. Her heart hammered so loudly she couldn't hear anything else. When he finally pulled back, both of them breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "This shouldn't happen," he whispered. "I know," she breathed. "Then why can't I stop?" She swallowed. "Because I can't either." His hand slid to her waist, thumb brushing her hip in a way that made her shiver. "Tell me what this is," he murmured. "Tell me it's not one-sided." "It isn't," she said before she could think. His exhale trembled. He kissed her again, slower, deeper, more devastating. Zara's knees weakened. She felt him catch her, hold her, draw her closer as though she belonged there. For a terrifying, beautiful second, she wanted to. A sharp knock shattered the moment. Both of them froze. "Boss," a guard yelled through the door. "It's Mira. She's on the private line." Daehyun's entire body went still. He stepped away from Zara so fast she felt the loss like a physical wound. He tightened his jaw. "Patch her through." Zara stared at the screen as it flickered to life. Mira Seo's image appeared. A beautiful woman in a white suit, hair pulled back, red lipstick perfectly painted. Her smile was bright and cold, the kind of smile that made snakes look friendly. "Cousin," Mira purred. "You've been busy." Daehyun's voice went flat. "State your purpose." "I hear you've been protecting something precious." Her gaze flicked to Zara. "Or someone." Zara stiffened. "Leave her out of this," Daehyun warned. "Oh, I can't," Mira replied sweetly. "She holds the cure, doesn't she? Rena's cure, the one I so graciously prevented from causing a scandal." Rage darkened Daehyun's eyes. "You murdered her work." "I saved the company," Mira said. "And now, dear cousin, I will save it again. Bring Zara to me, tonight, with the completed formula, or your little scientist will watch her family burn next." Zara sucked in a sharp breath. Don't listen to her." Mira leaned closer to the camera. "You're smart, Zara. You know this only ends one way. Come quietly, and your brother lives." Daehyun stepped in front of the screen. "Touch her family again, and I will burn your empire to the ground." Mira just smiled. "Tick-tock, midnight, or the next fire won't have survivors." The transmission cut. Zara sank into a chair, shaking violently. "She'll kill him, Daehyun. She'll kill my brother if I don't go." "You're not going anywhere near her," he said instantly. "You can't stop me," she argued, voice cracking. "He's all I have." Daehyun crouched in front of her, gripping her trembling hands. "Zara, listen to me. Mira never keeps deals. You hand her your research, she kills you anyway. And your brother." "But if I don't go, I'll protect him," he promised. "And I'll kill her before she touches you again." Zara shook her head violently. "I can't let people die because of me." "You aren't responsible for her cruelty," he said fiercely. "She is." She pulled her hands free, pacing in panic. "There has to be a way, something, some compromise." "There is no compromise with a monster," Daehyun said. "She only wants power, and she wants to hurt me." Zara's voice broke. "Because of Rena." "Yes," he said, almost a whisper. "And because of me," Zara murmured. He looked away, jaw tightening. "Yes." The truth stabbed her chest. Daehyun stepped forward and caught her shoulders gently. "We'll find another way." "No," she whispered. "We won't." He frowned. "What are you thinking?" Her breath steadied in a way that terrified him. "A trade." "Absolutely not," he snapped. A fake formula, Zara said. One that looks perfect on the surface but collapses under analysis. He stared at her. Zara. I meet her, she continued. I give it to her. She lets my brother go. And while she thinks she's won, your men infiltrate and extract me. That's suicide. It's strategy, she countered. It's suicide, he repeated coldly. Zara stepped closer. You told me to decide who I want to be. Well, I choose someone who fights back. He shook his head. I won't risk losing you. That's not your choice, she whispered. His eyes narrowed, the softness cracking. Don't say that. You don't control this, she said, voice trembling but steady. You don't control me. He grabbed her hand, not painfully but desperately. I can't lose you, he said again, quieter. Not now, not after... She brushed his cheek with her fingers. Then trust me, she whispered. Just this once. His eyes closed briefly. When he opened them, the war inside him was visible. You'll have a full tactical unit watching you, he said finally. I'll be there. We extract the moment things go wrong. She nodded. Deal. But Zara... He cupped her jaw, voice raw. If you die. I won't, she promised, though she wasn't certain. Not tonight. Midnight. An abandoned shipyard. Steel containers. Broken floodlights. Wind slicing through the empty docks like knives. Zara stood in the center, heartbeat pounding like war drums. Dae-hyun's voice whispered through the calm in her ear. I'm with you. Keep breathing. I'm trying, she whispered. A convoy of black cars rolled in. Mira stepped out, smiling like a queen on a battlefield. You came. Good girl. Zara held out a flash drive. Release my brother first, Mira laughed. Oh, darling, you don't negotiate with me. Two men dragged Yusuf forward, bloody, terrified, hands tied. Let him go, Zara demanded. The formula first, Mira said. Zara tossed the drive at her feet. Mira bent to pick it up, suspicion flickering across her eyes. If this is incomplete, it isn't, Zara lied. Mira snapped her fingers. Yusuf was shoved toward Zara. She ran to him, catching him before he fell. Yusuf, it's okay. Gunfire erupted. Chaos exploded. Dae-hyun's men stormed the dock from every direction. Bullets tore through metal. Mira's guards retaliated. Dae-hyun himself sprinted toward Zara, firing with lethal precision. Get down, he shouted. Zara shielded her brother, heart racing. A blast erupted behind them, throwing Zara to the ground. Dae-hyun reached her, grabbed her shoulders. Are you hurt? She coughed. I'm okay. A shot rang out. Dae-hyun jerked. Zara froze. Blood spread across his chest. No, she whispered, catching him as he stumbled. No, Dae-hyun! He gritted his teeth, pulling her behind cover. Stay, behind me. You're shot. I'm fine, he lied. Bullets rained around them. Mira fled toward her convoy. Zara screamed as Dae-hyun's knees buckled. No! Stay with me! Stay with me! He reached up, fingers brushing her cheek, smearing blood across her skin. Zara! His voice was barely a whisper. I told you, I don't lose you. His hand fell. She caught it, sobbing. Don't do this. Dae-hyun, don't you dare! He didn't answer. Then everything went dark. Zara woke to sirens and shouting. Hands were on her shoulders, dragging her across the dock. The air stank of gunpowder and burning oil. The sky tilted, then snapped into focus. Stay with us, someone yelled. She's conscious, watch her head. Dae-hyun, she gasped. Where is he? In the truck, a voice barked. He's hit, move. She twisted, fighting the dizziness. On a stretcher, Kang Dae-hyun lay half-conscious, blood soaking his shirt, jaw clenched against pain. His eyes searched wildly until they locked onto hers. "Zara," he rasped. She stumbled toward him, grabbing his hand. "I'm here! I'm right here!" He exhaled shakily, eyelids fluttering. "Did Mira?" "She escaped," someone answered grimly. "Retreated to her main facility. They say she's clearing house, destroying evidence." Dae-hyun gritted his teeth. "Her pharmaceutical plant." Zara's stomach dropped. "If she erases everything, we lose proof. Everything we've rebuilt. And she walks free again," he finished. He tried to sit up. The medic shoved him back down. "You move, you die." "I have to finish this," he growled. Zara leaned over him, tears stinging. "You can't even stand—" He turned his head, eyes blazing despite the pain. "If we let her vanish now, she'll keep hunting you, your brother, everyone. This ends tonight." She stared at him, heart twisting painfully. He was bleeding out, and still only thinking about reaching Mira. "Then we go together," she whispered. "I'm not hiding while you bleed for me." His fingers tightened weakly around hers. "You're the only thing I can't lose in this war." "Then don't make me watch you fight it alone," she said. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he breathed out, defeated and determined all at once. "Strap me in," he ordered. "We're going to her plant." The pharmaceutical complex loomed against the night sky, glass and steel glowing like a polished blade. Sirens wailed in the distance, but the facility's private security was already at war with Dae-hyun's men. Gunfire echoed between the buildings. Floodlights swung wildly, cutting through smoke. Dae-hyun moved slower now, armor strapped over hastily bandaged wounds, breath shallow but gaze razor-sharp. Zara stayed close, heart pounding, taking cover when he shouted, trusting his instincts more than her own fear. Explosions rocked the lower levels. "She's rigging the place," someone shouted over the comm. "Blowing evidence." Zara's hands clenched. "If those labs go, everything we've proven dies with them." Dae-hyun's jaw hardened. "Then we take the control room." They blasted through a side entrance, moving down corridors lined with research posters and company slogans that made Zara's stomach turn. "Innovating for a safer world," one read. She almost laughed. They reached the central control hub. Technicians scattered as Dae-hyun's men stormed in, securing the room. On a central screen, Mira's face appeared, live. "Well, look at you," she drawled. "Dragging yourself across my front door, even with a bullet in your chest. That's dedication." "Call off the explosives," Dae-hyun said, voice low and lethal. "Why would I?" She smiled. "This plant is just one asset. I can rebuild. Can you say the same about your little scientist if she happens to be in the wrong blast radius?" Zara stepped into view. "You already lost, Mira. The model is corrected. The truth is out." "You think a few files and a dying gangster will change the world?" Mira scoffed. "You're naive." Her hand moved off-screen. Alarms screamed. A display flashed. Detonation sequence initiated. Zara's blood ran cold. She started the countdown. "Override," Dae-hyun commanded. His men scrambled at the panels, fingers flying across keyboards. "Secondary systems are locked," one shouted. "We can't fully cancel, only delay." "Do it!" Dae-hyun snapped. A timer appeared. 2 minutes, then 90 seconds. Mira laughed. "Run, cousin. Let's see what your loyalty costs you this time." The feed cut. "You need to get out," one of his men shouted. "Now!" Dae-hyun looked at Zara. Smoke drifted under the doors. Somewhere below, something heavy collapsed with a thunderous crack. "Go," he told her. "I'll hold them and buy time." "No." Her voice shook. but her stare did not. "We're leaving together." The building shuddered. The lights flickered. A support beam groaned overhead. Dae-hyun grabbed her arm, dragging her toward the exit just as an explosion ripped through the far wall. Heat roared through the hallway, throwing them to the floor. Zara slid across broken tiles, glass cutting into her palm. Her ears rang. The world lurched in and out of focus. She forced herself up and saw him. Dae-hyun lay slumped against a cracked column, blood spreading across his chest, darker and heavier than before. "No," she choked. No, Dae-hyun." She stumbled to him, hands pressing down on the wound. He hissed in pain but tried to push her away. "Don't! Zara, you have to run!" "Shut up," she sobbed. "I'm not leaving you." The timer blared through the corridor. 40 seconds. "Move!" a guard screamed. "Now!" Two of Dae-hyun's men grabbed him under the arms, hauling him to his feet as Zara supported his weight, their steps stumbling, desperate. They burst through a side exit just as the plant behind them erupted in a fireball, heat slamming into their backs, shockwave throwing them to the asphalt. Zara tasted blood. Sirens wailed, shouts blurred into white noise. She crawled toward Dae-hyun, whose body lay twisted, unnaturally still. "Dae-hyun!" Her throat closed. "Stay with me! Please! Stay!" His eyelids fluttered weakly. "You're still here," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere," she said, tears mixing with dust on her cheeks. "You hear me? You don't get to die and leave me behind." His lips curved in the faintest ghost of a smile. "Boss is crashing," someone yelled. "We need evac now." They loaded him into a transport. Zara climbed in beside him and grabbed his hand, refusing to let go even as the medic barked orders and pressed gauze soaked instantly red. "Don't you dare," she whispered into his ear, voice breaking. "Don't you dare leave me. I just found you." His fingers twitched around hers. Then he went completely still. 3 weeks later, the world looked softer, quieter, and far more fragile. Dae-hyun lay in a private hospital suite, sunlight spilling across white sheets. Machines hummed quietly beside him. Fresh flowers sat on the table, replaced daily by hands that trembled every time. Zara hadn't left his side. She slept curled in the chair, notebook on her lap, eyes red from nights of whispered pleas he couldn't hear. "Wake up," she murmured, fingers brushing his. "You're not allowed to leave. Not after you pulled me back from that bathtub. That debt goes both ways." Dr. Hwan checked him every morning, offering small, cautious optimism. "His body is strong," he said. "The wound was severe, but he's fighting." "So I keep talking," Zara answered. "Yes," the doctor said gently. "He may hear you more than you think." She kept talking, about Nigeria, about her brother, about small, stupid things, like how the tea in the hospital was terrible, and how he'd better wake up and complain about it too. One morning, she stood at the window, one hand unconsciously pressed to her lower stomach. She'd taken the test in a shaky moment in the hospital bathroom, breath held, heart threatening to crack open. Positive. Life quietly beginning in the wreckage. She turned back to the bed. "Dae-hyun," she whispered, "you're going to be a father, so you don't get to die. That's the rule." His fingers moved. Zara froze. "Dae-hyun?" His eyelids flickered, then slowly lifted. Dark eyes met hers. She gasped, covering her mouth with her hand as tears flooded her vision. You're awake." He frowned faintly, voice rough like gravel. "You look terrible." A helpless laugh sob burst out of her. She rushed to his side, grabbing his hand, pressing it to her face. "You almost died," she cried. "You don't get to mock my face." He winced as he tried to shift. "Where are we?" "Hospital. Secure," she said quickly. "Mira's plant is gone. She escaped, but we have enough data to expose her. Your men are hunting what's left of her network." He stared at her, something soft and fierce stirring behind his eyes. "How long?" he asked. 3 weeks, she said. 3 weeks of me begging you not to leave." His gaze dropped to where her hand still rested on her stomach. "What aren't you telling me?" he asked quietly. Her heart pounded. "Let me start with something else." She took a breath. "I love you," she said simply. "I didn't get to say it properly before you started bleeding everywhere, and I refuse to let you almost die again without hearing it." His expression cracked. He lifted a shaky hand, fingers brushing her jaw. "Say it again." "I love you," she whispered, tears slipping free. "You infuriating, overprotective, impossible man. I love you." He exhaled, eyes closing briefly as if the words themselves were a sedative. "Good," he murmured, "because I was about to make a very selfish request." He forced himself to sit up a little more, wincing but refusing help. "Zara Nwosu," he said, voice still unsteady but intent clear. "I have no idea how long the world will let me keep you. I can't promise you peace. I can't promise you safety. But I can promise you that every breath I have left will be spent protecting you in whatever future you choose." "So," he swallowed, chest rising and falling with effort. "Marry me." Her breath hitched. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "I am shot, exhausted, and very likely high on painkillers," he said faintly. "If I'm still saying this, it's either love or brain damage." She laughed through her tears, covering her mouth. He watched her, eyes shining. "Say no, and I'll still protect you. Say yes, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving you were right to trust a criminal with your heart." Her hand moved to her stomach again, almost unconsciously. "I wasn't planning to tell you like this," she said. "Not while you still look like you lost a fight with a truck." "Tell me what?" he asked. She took his hand and guided it gently to rest where hers had been. He stared at her, then at their joined hands, and back. His eyes widened. "Zara," he breathed. She nodded, tears spilling over. "We're not alone anymore." For a moment he couldn't speak. Then his face crumpled in a way she had never seen, every layer of hardness falling away, leaving just a man who had lost too much and was suddenly terrified to hope again. "Say it," he whispered. "I need to hear it." "I'm pregnant," she said softly. "You're going to be a father." His fingers tightened around hers. His head dropped back against the pillow as he laughed once, broken and disbelieving. "I don't deserve this," he said hoarsely. "You don't get to decide that," she replied, leaning down to kiss his forehead. "You just have to stay alive for it." He nodded, eyes wet. "Then I'll stay." They sat like that for a while. His hand on her stomach, her head resting against his shoulder, the machines steady and calm around them. For the first time in what felt like years, there was real peace. Hope. The door's intercom buzzed. "Sorry to disturb," a guard's voice said. "Boss, there's an urgent call. Secure line. She says it's family." Dae-hyun's body went rigid. "Put it through," he said. A screen on the wall blinked on. Mira's face filled it. Zara felt every muscle in her body tense. "Look at you," Mira cooed. "Still alive, resilient cousin." Dae-hyun's voice dropped to ice. "Your plant is gone. Your people are scattered. This is over." Mira's smile sharpened. You think so? Oh no, I still have one asset you care about more than revenge. The image shifted. Zara's breath caught. A woman appeared on the screen, thin, pale, eyes dazed but unmistakably alive. Dark hair, familiar features, medical restraints around her wrists, tubes, monitors. Rena. Zara's heart stopped. Do-hyun's world tilted. No, he whispered. She's dead. I buried her. I held her when... She didn't die, Mira said sweetly. I kept her. Quietly. Off the records. A perfect test subject. Unfortunately, she's deteriorating. She'll need attention. Very soon. Rena coughed weakly on screen, eyes shifting as if searching for something. Or someone. Day, the woman croaked. Zara's hand flew to her mouth. His fingers dug into the sheets. Rena. Mira's face returned. Here's the game, she said. You have 48 hours. Bring Zara and her research to the location I'll send. You come alone. You walk in, she walks out. You keep your pretty scientist and your unborn child? Zara froze. Mira smirked. Oh, you thought I didn't know. I always do my homework. Dae-hyun's eyes flicked to Zara's stomach, then back to the screen, torn horror erupting across his face. Or, Mira continued softly, you stay where you are, hide in your little fortress, and I end Rena's life properly this time. On camera. Just for you. The room spun. Zara felt the weight of the choice slam into her chest like a physical blow. Mira leaned in, eyes glittering. Choose, cousin, she whispered. Your past or your future? The call cut. Silence dropped over the room like a shroud. Zara stared at the now black screen, every nerve in her body screaming. Dae-hyun's hand slipped from hers, shaking. Zara, he whispered, voice shredded. I can't. She looked at him, at the man who had dragged her from death, who had bled for her, who had just asked her to be his wife, who was now staring into an abyss that had no clean escape. Their baby. Rena. Mira's ticking clock. Outside, the world kept moving. Inside that room, everything held its breath. If you want to find out what choice Dae-hyun and Zara make next, what you would do, in their place, and how far love and revenge can really go, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment, telling whose life you think he'll choose, and why. Your engagement keeps stories like this coming.